Retail sales surged 0.7% in March, with Americans seemingly unfazed by higher prices. Retail sales surged 0.7% in March, with Americans seemingly unfazed by higher prices. And one more time. Retail sales surged 0.7% in March, with Americans seemingly unfazed by higher prices. Ani di Innocenzio, or Innocenzio, from New York. Americans boosted spending at a hotter than expected pace in March, underscoring how shoppers remain resilient despite inflationary pressure and other economic challenges. Retail sales rose 0.7% last month, almost double what economists had forecast, after rising 0.9% in February, according to Commerce Department data released Monday. The February figure was revised upward. That comes after sales fell 1.1% in January, dragged down in part by inclement weather. Excluding gas prices, which have been on the rise, retail sales still rose a solid at 0.6%. The national average gas price Monday was $3.63 per gallon per AAA, up 6 cents from a week ago and up 19 cents from last month, but they're still down 3 cents where they want to be at this point from last year. The snapshot offers only a partial look at consumer spending and doesn't include many services, including travel and hotel lodges, but the loan services category, restaurants, registered an uptick of 0.4%. Government detailed data isn't adjusted for inflation, which ticked up 0.4% from February to March, according to the latest government report. So retailers had a solid sales gain accounting for inflation. Retail sales aren't increasing just because prices are going up, said Ted Rossman, senior industry analyst at Bankrate. Americans are actually buying more stuff. This is one of the strongest retail sales reports we've seen in the past couple of years. Futures jumped seconds after the retail report landed, while bond prices slipped given the strong economic signals that the U.S. consumer is sending. Sales at general merchandise stores rose 1.1%, while online sales was up 2.7%. Department stores had a 1.1% decline. Furniture stores and electronics and appliance stores also posted sales declines. A strong jobs market and rising wages have fueled household spending, which also has become choppy in the face of rising credit costs and higher prices. America's employers delivered another strong report in March, adding 303,000 workers to their payrolls and fueling hopes that the economy can plow through higher prices without succumbing to a recession despite high interest rates. Last month's job growth rose from a revised 270,000 in February and far exceeded the 200,000 jobs that economists had predicted. By any measure, it amounted to a major burst of hiring, and it underscored the economy's ability to withstand the pressure of high borrowing costs resulting from the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes. With Americans continuing to spend, many companies have continued hiring to meet steady demand. However, inflation has remained stubborn, lifted last month by higher prices for gasoline, rents, auto insurance, and other items, new data showed last week. That will likely delay a cut to interest rates that many had anticipated at the beginning of the U.S. Federal Reserve's monetary policy making arm in a couple of weeks. Prices outside the volatile food and energy categories rose 0.4% from February to March, the same accelerated pace as in the previous month. Measured from a year earlier, these core prices are up 3.8%, unchanged from the year-over-year rise in February. The Fed closely tracks core prices because they tend to provide a good barometer of where inflation is headed. Boom! There's your story Did I hit record? I did. 5 minutes. That's good. That's good. So I identified some vocab that I predicted would be difficult for a Brazilian language learner. Let's start with underscoring. This is in the first sentence, I believe. Americans boosted spending at hotter than expected pace in March, underscoring how shoppers remain resilient despite inflationary pressure and other economic challenges. To underscore means to emphasize, to put emphasis on, to support or show or illustrate with emphasis. Think of when you're typing on Microsoft Word, underlining, and you could substitute underscore for underlining, but we typically use this word underscore. Underscore is to underline, and when you underline text or a word, you're emphasizing it for someone to see it easier or to understand it or notice it. So to underscore is to give emphasis, to emphasize. Americans boosted spending at hotter than expected pace in March, emphasizing or showing how shoppers remain resilient despite inflationary pressures and other economic challenges. Pace. Pace. The same accelerated pace. And look at that word, accelerated. Okay, so this is a good helper to understand pace. Pace means velocity, speed. Speed or velocity, accelerated speed, accelerated velocity, as in the previous month. Barometer, something that measures, something that takes a measurement, something that takes a measurement. Headed. To head somewhere is to go somewhere. Where are you headed? I'm headed to the store. Where are you headed? I'm headed home. Where are you heading later? To head somewhere, to be headed somewhere is to be going somewhere. Good barometer of where inflation is going. And you can substitute headed for going. We use headed a lot in English, but you certainly could say going, where it's going or where it's going to end up. Our next vocab word, forecast. And it's conjugated, had forecast. Retail sales rose 0.7%, almost double what economists had forecast after rising 0.9% in February. A forecast is a prévision. It is a prediction or prognostication for the future, something that you think will happen, or the way you think something will happen, or what something will look like. Forecast, for meaning in front, cast meaning throw. You're throwing your opinion about the front or the future. Forecast, to look and predict in. Same paragraph, dragged down.
Stop dragging me down with all your horseshit, man.
That comes after sales fell 1.1% in January, dragged down in part by inclement weather, bad weather. To drag down. I think drag is arrastar, right? To drag, meaning to pull. Drag is to pull something, right? To with your hands or some device, pull or move something. You're not pushing, right? You're pulling. I know push, puxar in English and Portuguese are opposites, right? But to drag down is when something or some force is pulling down something else. In this case, it's talking about what is causing the sales percentage falling in January. What is dragging down that number? They mention inclement weather, bad weather was a force that pulled or dragged down sales in January. Our next vocab word is two parts, really. Uptick and tick up. Phrasal noun, phrasal verb. Uptick, uptick. Phrasal noun and uptick. How do we know it's a noun? Well, there's an article in front of it. Registered an uptick of 0.4%. And then the analog, the phrasal verb that has the same meaning but grammatically is different, to tick up, which ticked up 0.4%. And they even give us the same number, right? So an uptick is a noun that indicates something going up in a small increment, a small movement up, a small movement up. Up, I think most of you understand that word if you're listening to this video. Tick, think tick-tock. Tick-tock on the clock, right? The hand on the clock ticks. It moves very slowly. It moves very slowly in little increments. Tick-tock, tick. And you can imagine or picture, or maybe I'll have a video of the clock hand ticking. It just moves very slowly. So an uptick is something going up or moving up very slowly or in a small increment. Tick up is the same thing, but it's a phrasal verb. So it's just the verb form, right? The number ticked up. Or we can make an observation. There was an uptick, or registered. They registered an uptick. So the only difference is grammatical here. It's not in meaning. Uptick, a phrasal noun, small movement up, and then to tick up, which means to move up incrementally, not significantly, but not substantially, but significantly in some degree, small degree. Our next vocab word, to land, aterrizar. I think that might be the Spanish and the Portuguese. To land. The report landed this morning. To land something. In this case, it's the same as an airplane. Arriving. It landed. Futures jumped seconds later after the retail report landed or appeared, became present or public in this case, because it's a report and they do it privately and they release it publicly at some point in time. To land something can also mean conseguir pegar, right? We landed a new client this afternoon. We're all very excited. So to land could be conseguir pegar, to get. But in this sentence, no, to land just means the same as an airplane, to show up, to arrive. To slip. We could also substitute slip with slide. Slip and slide. Hey, there you go. While bond prices slipped, given the strong economic signals that the U.S. consumer is sending. So to slip is escorregar. To lose balance and fall. To lose balance and fall. When we do this with numbers, it means something's going down. Something's going down. Doesn't necessarily mean significantly, a lot, or a tiny increment. No, but it does mean going down. So you need more information to describe how much or the degree. They give that in the next sentence. Slipped. Escorregar. To go down. Another double. Fueled.
Fueled by the media, fear and panic spread quickly.
Have fueled. Rising wages have fueled spending. In the next sentence as well. Fueling hopes. So we have fueling spending. Something has fueled spending. Strong jobs market, rising wages, remunerações, right? Payment, salaries, remunerations, remunerações, spending, gastos. We have down here fueling hopes. And these are grammatically different, but they mean the same thing, right? One has an ed, one is conjugated with have fueled. The other one is ing, gerund, to their payrolls and fueling hopes that the economy can plow through. Plow through is not the phrasal verb we're going to look at, but I will do it now. To plow through is to push with force through an obstacle, push with force, to plow through. All right, back to fueling. A strong jobs market, mercado forte de trabalhos novos, and rising wages e remunerações crescendo have fueled household spending. Household spending is gastos de casa, né? Gastos de cada casa. Have fueled is to cause, to give combustion, para produzir combustível, para mudar alguma coisa, como motor, right? And fuel is the word we use in English for gasoline. We use fuel for energy. I need some fuel. I am tired. I need some more fuel, a drink or something to eat. Spending, down here, we use it with hope, fueling hope. We can fuel emotions and sentiments. During an election year, talking about immigration fuels fear about the country or the economy or whatever. So to fuel something is to keep feeding it, combustible material, to continue burning or moving or operating, any of those and more, right? So here, again, grammatical difference. Have fueled is a present perfect. It's two subjects. That's why it's have, not has. It's not rising wages has. It's strong jobs market. And rising wages have fueled. Notice how the pronunciation have fueled. We don't say have fueled. Have fueled. Strong jobs market and rising wages have fueled. And down here is an ing. Sometimes it's a verb, right? Continuous, continuoso, or progressivo. Here, no. Fueling hopes. It's a gerund. Underscore again. We did this in the first sentence, I believe. To underscore is to show with emphasis. Like here, this word here, this is underscored. It's for a hyperlink to click on and you go to another website, but it's underscored. There's an underline there, and it is easy to see and observe. The website, the writer is showing me something that is easy for me to identify and understand what it means. Underscore means the same thing, and it underscored or showed with emphasis the economy's ability to withstand. To withstand means to sobreviver, to survive, to be durable and not die or quit or dissolve. To withstand is sobreviver. Steady. Steady. With Americans continuing to spend, many companies have continued hiring to meet steady demand. You can have steady demand, steady interest. You can have a steady hand. You can have a steady mind. Steady means consistent. Consistent. Not shaky or wobbly or inconsistent. Consistent. Our next vocab word is probably commonly heard. Not a very difficult word. It's so different than Portuguese, so I guess it's hard to remember, hard to learn it, not hard to understand it. However, inflation has remained stubborn.
You are stubborn. You won't listen.
Teimoso. Apesar de tudo, inflação ficou teimoso. Or teimosar, right? Teimosa, because of inflação. Stubborn, teimosa, teimoso, adjective. Usually we do this after to be. Someone is stubborn. You are stubborn. I'm not stubborn. You're stubborn. In this case, we used it after remain. And let's, this is a rare example where we use remain, like in Portuguese, where you say ficar e o sentimento depois. Né? In inglês, normalmente não usamos ficar or to stay or to remain, unless we're talking about something sem mudar, like in this example. However, inflation has remained stubborn. Eles estão indicando que a inflação não mudou. No fluctuou. No, it stayed the same. No tan fluxo. Fluxo, is that a word? Well, I'll let you listener tell me. To remain stubborn, ficar teimoso, teimosa. All right, finalmente, we've come back to the headline title. No final, estamos voltando ao título do artigo, né? We're going back to the title. Porque eu escolhi esse artigo? Because the vocab in the headline was difficult. Surge, unfazed, to seem unfazed, and plentiful. All right, so we read the whole article. We went over the vocab. Retail prices surgiu 0.7% in March as Americans seem unaffected, to be unfazed, parecer unfazed, to seem unfazed. To be unfazed is to not be affected significantly, to not be concertado, right? Desconcerted, to not be perturbed, unperturbed, or undisturbed. Unaffected. To be unfazed is unaffected. The opposite is also true. To be fazed by something is to be affected and negatively. Could be distracted. It could be perturbed, concerted. But usually it's a negative thing. To be phased. To be phased. And to be unfazed is to, doesn't matter to me. I'm okay. I'm all right. No problem. They're talking about Americans and higher prices. Plentiful. With jobs, plentiful or plentiful. Plentiful means a lot. In abundance. In abundance. Not in escassez, right? Not in shortage. In abundance. Plenty. Plenty is a common word in English. An adjective for a lot. More than enough. Plenty. We got plenty of time. We got plenty of people. We got plenty of resources. Oh, we got plenty of that. Plentiful is the noun to describe things that are in plenty or things that you have a sufficient quantity for. That is it. That wraps it up. Retail sales surged 0.7% in March as Americans seem unfazed or unaffected by higher prices with jobs everywhere.